All right. Welcome, everybody. We are live. It is a little bit late, 10 p.m., little after 10 and some change. And I am joined tonight by the wonderful AJ, who wasn't at tonight's game because we were away today in Orlando, but he is still away in the car. So he'll be coming to us live from the car. AJ, how are you doing? Break it down. What are you driving? Where are you? How does it feel?
I'm not going to reveal what I'm driving, but yes. In terms of, I am in Atlanta in the dirty streets.
He's out there, folks.
This was a dirty feeling after this game too, because we definitely smashed and grabbed. That result, we didn't deserve it, but we will take it all damn day. And Tyler Wolff, out of nowhere, smashes it to the top of the roof. We will go home quite not content, but at least where we salvaged and rescued this really abysmal performance, because for pretty much 85 minutes we looked dire. We looked really, really bad. But we were able to paper over some cracks here, get a goal, and somehow Orlando, they bottle it. They bottle this result because, for all intents and purposes, they should have had this in the bag. Like, this is, I think indicative more of Orlando not being clinical. And we were able to, turn on that urgency in the last few minutes of the match without Yakumakis, who, man, like, that, it's a bummer. It's a bummer he doesn't get to break or at least tie Taylor Twellman's record of 6 goals and 6 starts. But we the most important thing is that we were able to get an away point, on a night that we really didn't have it.
Yeah, I think it's often said in games like this, when you're a championship team, when you're a good team, when you're a playoff team, and your team's not playing up to that level, if you still manage to find a way to get a point away or to get results somehow, even when you're not at your best, that's a hallmark of a solid team, a good team. The jury kind of, in my mind, is still out in terms of whether or not this is a good team, objectively speaking, because we have decent performances here or there, and then we have absolutely abysmal in other cases. But this is the type of thing, I think Twellman even mentioned it on the broadcast, that if you make it to the playoffs, these are the types of results we're going to point to and say, we gutted it out, we found a result, we were able to get there, based on its performances like this. It wasn't pretty. Did we, play well? No. We kind of got played off the pitch. Everything was against the run of play. We just, again, and this is a story as old as time at this point, but it bears repeating once more that Atlanta United really turns it on in the last 15 minutes. We're like the top team in goals in the last 15 minutes. I think it's 10 or something like that. And we just add another one to the tally. Apparently we are the cockroaches of MLS. We won't go away. We will not get beaten until the last, I watch hockey a lot, and the Bruins are that kind of team too. Outside of this last season, they basically they will. You may think you have them beat for 90% of the game, but they will just come back at the end and just sneak points out of you. So, and it seems like that's kind of what we're doing. And boy, are we a frustrating team to play against because of that. Teams know this. They know we'll sneak points into them at the end, and it's just they try and make it so the hill is too high to climb by towards the end. But Orlando just couldn't do it. They had all the opportunities in the world. They couldn't do it. They couldn't. Even the commentators were talking about they couldn't put the game to bed when they had the opportunities, and it came back to bite them in the butt. And we are very much thankful for that. Orlando very much choked a lot of their opportunities. So we will say, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and head on back to Atlanta.
and especially ahead of a busy week of matches. We've got a Wednesday match. We've got another Saturday match. So, yeah, I mean, we will be feeling okay after these two run of results, 2 draws. So, yeah, 2 draws that, yeah, probably will kind of keep us, in the position that we are at. To kind of speak to your point about, are we objectively a good team, or are we objective, or are we an abject bad team that knows how to play some teams on our day to get a result? I don't know. I think the jury is out if we are actually a good team or a bad team. Because yeah, I mean, at home, generally, like we pull out some results. Away, we probably are that abject bad team. So, yeah, I mean, can't complain too hard on a night like this. I mean, we probably will, but
we are physically able. It's just whether or not we will is another story.
Yeah, but it is, yeah, man, it's just so frustrating to watch this team right now. We just look really just bereft of ideas in midfield. Sosa and Hossetu just aren't a good pairing. They, I think maybe too similar, or there's just not enough steel. There's not enough, just dynamism. And Almada has to come all the way back to, kind of carry the ball forward a lot of times because we just cannot connect these lines. And it's especially apparent on the road. I know we've talked about maybe we should play on the counter a little bit more. I mean, we basically almost had to because
yeah, the press from Orlando was real.
Yeah, they were just passing it around us like we were chasing shadows. We were, just long periods of time where we just didn't have the ball. Even though it was like pretty close in possession, but definitely didn't feel like it.
Yeah. So we're waiting for our first guest to come on. I was thinking, so we also have like a couple things we're gonna do after the stream. So stick around. I still have to do. I'm gonna do essentially like a shot of hot sauce tonight. So stick around for that. That'll be fun for you and not for me. And then also we'll do the wheel and to see who gets the blame or the forfeit next time. And also, we will say that if you retweet the stream tonight while we're streaming, please do so, and we will retweet you back. So please do that. It really helps get the word out that we do this and people hear about it because we think we put out a good product and we hope you guys enjoy it. So if you think so too, please do us a big solid. Share it on Twitter and tag us in it, and we will retweet it back. So thank you, please. We appreciate it.
If you don't know the handle, ATL UTD Fan TV. And well said, Michael. Thank you very much.
So while we're waiting, I do have one comment that was text message to me that was supposed to be directed towards AJ. So we're going to read that out. Dennis says he can't be on tonight, but he says that he saw the game and we saved a point away. It's a tough ask to win away in MLS. Does AJ think that this lineup, does he think that this lineup is a projection for the rest of the season? I guess let me try and reword that. Do you think that this is kind of like what's going to be the lineup for the rest of the season?
I mean, we're going to replace Atlutd. So, there's going to be a DP spot in that right wing, probably, I would bet. And then the rest of the season, I mean, Almada doesn't look long for this team either, which is unfortunate. So I would imagine that's probably not the case either, but maybe for the next month, probably. So I'll say, yeah, knowing that also Atlutd will also be part of this team too, for at least a few more matches. So it's going to be something like that. But yeah, I mean, Lennon, I think, is probably more of our right back because he didn't really do too much at right wing either tonight. And yeah, Ronaldo Hernandez, he's fine as a deputy. He's been okay, but ultimately, I think you saw why that he was taken off tonight.
Yeah, I would reiterate the midfield pairing needs reinforcements and reworking.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to probably see a change in that in the future before the season is over. So no, I don't think this is going to be your starting 11 going forward for the rest in perpetuity. But I do think this was the strongest one they could have put out kind of at the time, given what they had. And so now we are joined by Stronk as he goes in the chat. Stronk, if there's any other thing you want me to call you as, we can call you that as well. But please feel free to give us your 2 cents or your $5 or your $10 or $1 million, whatever you want.
Hello, guys.
Hey, welcome.
Let me know if you can hear me fine.
You sound great.
Okay. It was a very ugly game. It was ugly soccer.
Yes.
And I think that Orlando isn't a particularly talented team either, so that contributed to it. The game was very physical, high intensity. At times they were pushing forward. To me, as an outsider, it looked a bit like American football at times. The way Orlando was trying to force their attack. And I might say something controversial.
Go, give it to us, please.
I don't think Atlanta was that bad. I think for as long as I've been following them, it has been the best defensive game they had.
Was it a good defensive game, or did Orlando just not capitalize? Would you suspect that perhaps a better team would have punished us in this at a completely different scoreline? Or maybe we were actually pretty stout on defense tonight.
No. I don't think it's just that Orlando. A better team depends on which team you refer to. Of course, would be more effective offensively, but other than that, I don't think it's. No, I think I saw tangible improvement. You had your midfield was supporting a lot more actively.
Yeah.
Everyone at certain points, I saw Giacomakis come back to help. Almada did the same. The team was more solid. They maintained their shape better at the back, despite the Orlando's pressure. And as far as I remember, no one really has pressed Atlanta that hard.
Wow, yeah. Not even the Red Bull?
In their own half. Press Atlanta at their weakest point, at the space between their defense and their midfield. I think Orlando did a great job at that.
They did,
again, despite not being a super talented team. They really did try hard to do that.
You're right, 100% correct on that.
And I remember looking at Sosa a few times in the first half where Atlanta wasn't doing very well. He was there almost man marking their number 10 and not losing the guy. The guy, I don't know his name. I didn't look up his name. He had a very quiet game. He just had like
he had that one. He had that one really good attempt, and that was about it.
Yeah, on the second half.
Yeah,
and in the first half he wasn't there practically.
Yeah,
I mean, for all intents and purposes, Sousa had him removed from the game. Okay. I do concede, though, that Atlanta was worse offensively. Today, their passing wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Etienne and Almada did that at times. They prefer, rather than circulating the ball and try to make plays, they try to carry the ball a bit too much, in my opinion.
Etienne for sure,
Yeah, particularly Etienne, and particularly in the first half. In the first half, Etienne was really bad.
Yes, he was.
So, we've been talking on the server and stuff, so you know, I have been quite critical of Pineda.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did well. I think he said, like, maybe this past week, he thought, okay, we're playing away or in Orlando. Orlando is going to press hard on us. They try to beat us even physically for the ball, for chances, given that they're not a super talented team. So he thought, okay, we're going to work on our defense, guys, this week. And maybe the offense suffered a bit to it. Maybe Almada carried the ball a bit. I would say Etienne, but Etienne does it either way, so I can't talk about Etienne because I think he really needs to be more team focused, not try to dribble everything he sees in front of him. Give the ball faster, make a run. Give the ball, make a run. Give the ball, make
interchange,
a run.
one-to-one passes. 100%.
Yeah, in order to help the attack become more fluid.
Yeah. Would you say though that when because I completely agree, your diagnosis is correct. Etienne slowed down. He didn't find passes. He had to recycle. He didn't know where to go. And a lot of times he coughed up possession because of his indecision. Yeah. And I think the reason partially is for that is because, and AJ and I were both watching, we saw this, there was not a lot of movement off the ball to make these guys available for a recipient of a pass. They just kind of were a lot of ball watching, especially when Almada had the ball, and everyone's just watching him, Techers against 3 players, and all of a sudden he coughs up or he makes an errant pass because he's congested by like 3 defenders at that point. Like, there's just not a lot of options for these players when you see them, and specifically it was Etienne and specifically Almada, when they get into a dangerous position, they just kind of slow down. They don't know what to do. There's no one's moving around, especially like Almada. Like, you could see his gesticulations, his hand gestures and stuff, like motioning, like, you guys need to move more. There's got to be more off the ball. What are you guys doing? And it seemed like he was being a bit frustrated.
Yeah, okay. No, I hear what you're saying. I understand that. But I think given the context within this game, I'm not talking about other games, I'm talking about today, you're supposed to counter-attack. When you counter-attack, you don't counter-attack with half your team. You don't counter-attack with 6 players. You counter-attack with like 2-3 guys, and you have to make it work with 2 or 3 guys. And in regards to Etienne specifically, you do mention that sometimes there wasn't movement around him. I remember a particular play in the first half where
sometimes
he had a guy
try
behind
all the time,
like around 10 yards behind him, who was unmarked. He was there standing, not moving, and he wasn't moving because he didn't need to move. He was already open, ready to receive the ball and pass it on to, let's say, Giacomakis or someone else. And he didn't give the ball. Again, he didn't give the ball.
Yeah.
He preferred to try to dribble his way out of everyone, and he ended up losing it.
Yeah.
So, again, I think it's more about personal mentality at some point.
Yeah.
If your brain is wired in a way that tells you, I have to get the ball and try to dribble, you don't see the passes. You don't see anything around you. And also, again, we're talking about an away game. You have a specific setup. You have to be more defensive, whether you like it or not. Especially if you have a defense or a midfield like Atlutd has, which hasn't been stellar so far. You can't expect like Sosa or Rosetto, why did you sprint forward after sustaining so much pressure in the first half? Why didn't and scold them for not running forward more aggressively? These guys have their limits. You can't. We're not talking about Steven Gerrard, who can tackle in the back and then dash forward and do a few dribbles and then assist at the end of his run.
Mm-hmm.
There are limitations. That's why I said in the first half, particularly Almada and mainly Etienne should have been more fluent with passing the ball.
Yeah.
And again, because it's the team's mentality, Atlanta is not super heavy on counter-attacking football.
Not anymore.
Sometimes just you're away. You don't have to force an issue on every attack. You can just turn the ball back or rotate it a bit, change the flank.
Yeah, I mean, AJ and I have been calling for that sort of thing for the longest time. Yeah. And it just kind of doesn't seem to be in the quote unquote DNA of the team. So we're with you of saying they should be more pliable, more malleable, more interested in trying to do different kinds of tactics to break down a team when their original idea is not working. However, they don't seem to be interested in doing that. And it is what it is. That's the Pineda's call, and sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. So.
Okay, again, in this game, I can't blame Pineda.
Yeah, because at this time it kind of worked. You're right, yeah.
You can only blame him for what the team has done so far, but in this particular game, I think he did the best he could do here. Okay, maybe he replaced Giacomakis, who didn't do much.
What did you think of that? Did you think he can't? So we were concerned he might not be 90 minutes fit yet, and that perhaps that ankle hit was more devastating than we thought it was. Or do you think so you think it was just more precautionary, just making sure he's not injured or anything?
Yeah, and sometimes sometimes just it happened with Wolff at the end. Giving a fresh pair of legs or a more fit and rested player can change things.
Yeah, I mean, usually that doesn't work out for us, but oh my God, Tyler Wolff, where did I don't know. I guess, and I said this after he scored the goal. I guess the fact that when he put in the goal in the previous game, and everyone said, "Oh, it's or he even said himself, that really wasn't my goal. It was kind of just gifted to me. I want to score my own goal." And then here he goes, boom, his own goal. Really well taken. Top roof, too. Yeah. Oh, man.
Again, it wasn't entirely his own goal again, but it was a free kick that ended up on him. He took a chance. It worked. Okay. So yeah, kudos to him, of course.
Yeah,
for doing
absolutely.
that.
Because no one else was finishing, no one else was executing. So he stepped up. So goodness gracious, thank you, someone. Someone stepped up.
It was, and not only that, it was the second game he saved, and getting a draw for Atlanta. It wasn't the first. It was the second. So I don't know. Maybe he has a lucky star or something on him.
Maybe, who knows? But hopefully it catches fire and he gets confidence and he continues to try and put balls in the back of the net, and he does so. So I'm here for it. AJ, we haven't heard from you in a while, so give your thoughts on all the things that we just talked about.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, it's essentially, there's so much that Strunk has been saying that I agree with. I think the main bit is that, we need players to step up from the bench, and because the starting 11 looked like our possible best starting 11 in a while, and they couldn't do the job. And especially on the road where we need them to do the job, especially Goose being back after only 48 days.
That was a surprise. Can we talk about that for a second? Where did he come from? Questionable out of nowhere?
And then, because that's, I think, ultimately at the end of the day, it's a goalkeeper, I guess the fitness rather is pretty easy to a degree to get back to. It's not like he needs to be 90 minutes fit where he has to run the whole match. So it's really about those reflexes and
did we use his leadership this game? Was it shown in this game for you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, because that's what we were thinking we were missing, and positionally, a lot of the players didn't seem like they were really in the right places to really do the right damage against Orlando, but there definitely were a lot of moments where we were in the wrong spot to let them do damage against us. And it still is, our goal that we gave up. I mean, yes, they knock it around pretty well, but it is ultimately another back post goal. And another back post goal, we just, it's symptomatic.
It started with a 50-50 turnover that just, no team plans for just winning games based on winning 50-50 turnovers, because you're not going to win those games statistically outside of 50-50%. So it's like, why would you plan for that? Your system has to be better than that 50-50. So, to me, that goal is kind of a little fluky, because I don't, like I said to you during the game, that wasn't the product of Orlando's system. That was just something that kind of fell into their lap.
Well, that's a product of their work rate. It's a product of
exactly. It's different. Those are two different things. Yeah, I agree.
And so they win their duels. They get the bearing of the luck. And so
it felt like we were playing Red Bull, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. We know this. For Atlanta United, we are a team that struggles against press. And they did it well. They did it really well. And they stifled us. They didn't allow us to play through our midfield, and we weren't allowed to connect any lines, really. We later on in the match, we just went more direct, which is what we should have done.
Yeah, route one.
Route one, exactly.
Well, it's because our midfield, and it'd be interesting to hear what Strong has to say. Our midfield, because AJ and I were talking about this earlier, was, non-existent. Osetu, Sosa, they were not there. When they decided to just go over them and bypass them and go straight to our attacking players, balls over the top and stuff, it seemed like we were a little bit more effective, a little more scary. Our midfield, when they tried to get open, or lack thereof of trying to get open a lot of times, they were just double, triple man covered, and it was they couldn't do, they couldn't get the ball and they couldn't do shit when they actually got the ball, and that was really strangling. And Dude, Taylor. If I had like a nickel for every time Taylor Twellman brought it up, I'd have like $3. It was insane. He just kept going on about it. So, like, and I get it. We need new midfield. We understand as Atlanta fans. We get it. But like, yeah, that was a little much for me, at least a little bit. I don't think it was as bad as he was saying, but like it was a little anemic. Was the word I think he said. Because I know you said you thought they had a decent game, so I'm just trying to see like where you fit on that.
In regards to the midfield,
yeah.
Okay, first of all, it was this Orlando team, although not technically superior than Atlanta, it was a physically superior than Atlanta.
They worked.
Yeah.
They had taller guys, stronger guys, bigger guys. And the only thing Atlanta had that could potentially match that were 3 players.
Yeah.
Giacomakis,
Robinson and Purata.
Purata and Robinson,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Those three. Everywhere else on the field, they were out muscling you and they were dominating you. And I think this thing also contributed to the stifling that Atlanta experienced.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
the thing is, Atlanta is a team that likes to play the ball. The team likes to carry the ball.
Yeah.
And I don't like that so much, carrying the ball. I'm more of favor of letting the ball do its work for you.
Right.
The work for you. And when you do it, when you try to carry the ball with a team that is physically superior than you, it's way more easy to lose the ball, to choke on the ball, to be overwhelmed and not be able to make a pass. That's why I think offensively Atlanta needed to be more fluent about circulating and passing the ball, rather than trying to force situations and sprints and stuff like that. In regards to the goal, okay, I think it was a momentary a bad moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I completely agree. It was like AJ started by saying it paintballed around, and I think it came from a 50-50 ball that it's not like exactly a replicatable system that they had in place that just undid Atlanta. It was just ball came down one side or the other. They got it. They shot it in, dribbled a little bit, bounced around, and just landed on the guy. And as AJ said, at the far post, which we have trouble covering for whatever the heck reason, so that does need to be addressed on the defense. But, I mean, at the end of the day, that ball could have landed anywhere, and it just happened to land there. So.
Yeah, and I think also that doesn't mean that in that particular chance mistakes didn't happen. I think, was it...
Yeah. Ronald Hernandez,
Purata,
like, put it down to, like, right to an Orlando player because he wasn't paying attention.
I think it was Purata who lost their center forward, and then it was also, you had 2 potential runners on the far right who no one was covering because Goodman had to come towards the middle to pick up the leftover attacker. And maybe someone ought to have been there, someone from the attacking midfielders, like either Almada or more probably Etienne, to pick up the runners, to not let them so much space.
What did you think about Etienne's positioning this game? Aside from when he got the ball and was, his ability or lack thereof of getting the passes off and making the right decisions. What do you think his positioning was like? And this is a question for both AJ and Strong, because I thought his positioning was a bit off this game. I saw him running to get back into what the original shape and form was supposed to be quite often. And that, to me, is a symptom of losing his place and kind of throwing off the team in general then. AJ, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I think it's Etienne. A lot of times this match, okay, he stayed out wide. Andrew Gutman was playing more as that kind of inverted fullback in the midfield, and so it's confusing because it's like in the final third that in theory is supposed to work, but in transition is where Derek Etienne, he was taking up spots where Thiago Almada was supposed to be. And so, in turn, Thiago Almada didn't know where he was really supposed to be. And, it's this whole total 90 football that, a lot of people want to play, but it's a team that does not know how to play it. Like, we do not interchange positions very well. We do not fill in the gaps and spaces when they're vacated. And I think you see, we're just not that type of team that passes and moves very well. So
what you're saying is they should have watched this season of Ted Lasso is what you're saying. Total football is what they need to understand.
Yeah, right. But ultimately, Derek Etienne, he took up, like, in attack, some strange spots that kind of put Thiago Almada in some, areas that he didn't really know where to be. And then I think Matheus Rossetto as well. I mean, he's almost afraid to be in the final third, I feel like, at times. Because there's this moment where Giakoumakis, he's having to do some dirty work in midfield, and Matheus Rossetto is ahead of Thiago Almada, and he's making a run, but he's a little hesitant to even kind of make the correct run and be aggressive. And so, in turn, Thiago Almada, really has no option because, Rossetto, who's not running at full pace, he's being man-marked in behind. And so it's just like, I think time and time again, we saw that in this match where, you just don't have options, especially when you're running at them.
Yeah.
Like, on the counterattack, we could have probably thrown at least one more guy forward. I think sometimes I know you were mentioning that maybe it's three guys in a counterattack, but I feel like with our midfield that pretty much wasn't really doing much, wasn't really going forward, you hold that behind, and those players that front four, if we get the ball and we didn't originally have the ball, we should be bombing forward and trying to make something happen, because there literally is not a better chance, really. When we had the ball, we were pretty much ineffective in creating any chance before the 75th minute.
Yeah, they even said we didn't have a shot on goal
before the 70 or
exactly
85th minute. That's really bad.
Yeah. So Strong,
on the road or not.
What is your opinion on Etienne's positioning this game?
Okay.
What do you think, Strong?
In regards to Etienne's positioning, I didn't make any particular mental note of it, because I was too frustrated by him trying to dribble everything every time he got the ball.
You're right. It's hard to keep track of issues when there's a bunch, and then I get what you're saying. Yeah.
What I would like to have seen more of him in the first half would have been not only, of course, more passes and less heroics, but also to track back more and help
like Brooks Lennon was doing.
Defense.
Yeah.
Because if you noticed, although Lennon on the right side had a more quiet game, he didn't get a lot of balls, he didn't make a lot of runs, the right side was a lot more solid than the left side.
Exactly, because he tracked back. Yep.
Yeah, he was helping Hernandez. He was helping Hernandez in the first half. Never had to face a situation where he was alone and he had to cover three players, like it happened with Gutman in the first half.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah,
led to the goal. So yeah, the left side should have worked very different. I don't know if it has to do with Pineda's instructions or with the players' approach to the game and mentality. I would tend to say that it was probably a bit of both that played the
probably.
factor.
I lean more towards the players, but I think there is. Yeah, I agree with you that it's a little column A, a little column B. So I want to. Oh yeah, AJ, if you wanted to say one more thing, I want to move on to one other question. So just finish up with like a little something there.
Yeah. I mean, it's Lennon on the right. With Ronaldo Hernandez, it's just not really that dynamic either. I mean, it's two right backs essentially. Let's be real. Like Lennon as a right winger, I mean, you didn't really see much like when he was playing right wing. Like he definitely bombed.
Yeah, like 3 crosses maybe.
Right, but he definitely bombed forward a lot more when he was actually playing right back, and when Ronaldo Hernandez was out of the game. So, I think it's apparent to me that that Ronaldo Hernandez, like he's not going to go forward. He's more of that kind of playmaker, kind of right back that isn't gonna stretch teams, and so in that. Our left side pretty much was having to do the work, and Gutman as well. He was playing more as an interior type of player, and so Etienne was kind of more isolated on the wing. Where, it's just like these players are too isolated. They don't have these other players to play off of, and that's probably why you saw like really low shots. And really, we just couldn't find a shot on goal for most of the match. I mean, there was just no connection. There was no positioning that allowed us to get into the final third in dangerous positions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I wanted to also ask... Oh, yeah, sorry. Finish up with that.
No, I was going to say, to agree with AJ in saying that, Lennon didn't produce anything significant offensively either. All he said was like, okay, defensively, the right side was a lot more solid.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Etienne, who was supposed to produce more offensively, didn't do so either, and because he wouldn't pass the ball. So in the end, you have your left side being worse than your right side.
Do you think that possibly you think it's also possible that Orlando's defense on the right to left could have favored one side, that they're stronger on one side than the other? It may not be on our players that was the issue. Maybe that the Orlando's just maybe you saw Orlando's players on one side or the other being more effective against our attackers. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know the profile of Orlando's defenders well enough to say that they're clearly favoring one side versus the other. They want to have more of the ball come down one side than the other because they're more comfortable that way. But, I mean, it's a possibility, so I don't know.
I think, Orlando, I wasn't impressed by Orlando, neither defensively or offensively, or in the midfield, or in any part of the game.
They had a good press. They had a lot of energy, urgency, but that's about it. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Physical,
because they're at home. Because they're at home. Yeah,
lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, they sweat their jerseys.
That's right.
Okay,
it's Orlando, so it's not that hard to do. But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. it's a very good team to have as a military platoon.
That's
like
right.
infantry.
That's right. That's a great. I like that joke. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
That's good.
not great footballers, but not terrible.
Not there. Yeah. It's probably indicative.
It's a bunch of
where
athletes.
They are in the table and in the conference, because they're 7th or 8th right now, pretty much. And so, yeah, they're a team that works hard. Oscar Pereira has at least done a good job, I think, maybe getting them to do the non-negotiables, one could say. But and I think conversely, looking at us, are we a team that are doing the non-negotiables? Has Gonzalo Pineda set us up that we do the hard work so that we are allowed to play? I don't think so. I don't think so right now. We're not a team that works particularly hard. We were second to a lot of balls. And yeah, on attack and defense, we look second best.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, Strong, to finish off us having this conversation with you, that what are your top 3 stars of the match, to borrow a phrase from Bill Gluckman that he likes to use after every game. He likes to give 3 stars from our team. So if you had to give in chronological order of like best to worst, 1, 2, 3, our top 3, who would you say our players are?
Top 3 players for Atlanta in this game.
Yep.
Okay. Obviously, I'm gonna give one.
And don't just give one to Jaco because he's Greek.
No, I won't. Don't worry. I would say, Wolff deserves one. Even if all he did was score a goal, it was a goal. Yeah, you can. Then I would say Almada, because Almada tried a lot. He did mistakes. I'm not arguing that, but he tried a lot. He tried sometimes did things wrongly, but he tried a lot. He helped. He tracked back. He pressured the opposition. He did passes. He set up that assist to Berry that didn't end up going inside the net. So, yeah, Almada. And the third is, I don't know, I don't have to...
How about Brad Guzan for returning?
I would say Sosa.
Sosa? Okay.
Yeah, because he eliminated number 10 from Orlando. I don't have a strong third.
Gotcha.
To give really, so
that's a decent shout. That's a decent shout for third. I can agree to that. So that's fine. I would maybe go with Brad because he had a decent amount of shot stop tonight. He played decently well. The one goal that was scored on him, he had absolutely nothing that he couldn't do about it. And then so that Sosa and Brad I think are on like a similar level. So I could see both arguments.
Yes. No, I think now that you mentioned Brad, he did great. He came from a long injury, from a long absence due to injury. He did great, despite his age. He tried to, and I think he did play the part in Atlanta's defensive operation today. And so yes, I'll agree with you and give it to Brad as well.
Cool, yeah. So thanks so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. Glad you got the audio going, and we're hoping to hear from you next time as well.
Sure, guys, of course.
Thank you, and thank you for staying up so late to do this.
No worries. See you at the next one.
Indeed, man. Have a great one.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
From here, and we'll talk in the chat.
Thank you. So that was Just Strong in the chat. Everyone say hi to him. There might be. Hold on. Let me do this right. Hold on. There might be.
Is that Mark Nichols' music?
There might be Mark Nichols coming in. So anyway, we're not sure. It could be a false sighting. We're not sure. But we might hear a little bit from him. In before that happens, or if it happens at all. So do you want to do closing thoughts, and then we can move on to the next segment? And if Mark pops on, he pops on. So go ahead if you'd like to do that, and we can move on to the other part where I am absolutely just wonderfully waiting for the ghost pepper tablespoon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, all right. So yeah, closing thoughts on this match. We absolutely did not deserve it for most of this match, but we pull it out yet again. I mean, this is just, it is indicative of this team. Like, we do not play well for most matches sometimes, and we are able to pull out a result. Is it sustainable? We've shown that it's kind of sustainable. I don't know if ultimately this is something that we can continue to rely on, as we saw in previous years. Rescuing a point or dramatically winning a game generally is not the most it is attainable, we'll say, not sustainable. So it's something that especially when you don't, in the future, maybe you don't have Almada and some others, it'll be a little bit more difficult, because we kind of shipped off some of those other players that kind of have rescued a point or want to lay for us, and Jake Mulroney, or a player like Dom Dwyer, who if I recall correctly was able to also do something late for us. So
yeah,
I mean,
or something early and get a red card.
Yeah, or that.
He does. So, yeah, what he's consistent at is doing something. Something's gonna happen.
Sure, yeah, that's for damn true for Dom Dwyer. But yeah, so this team, I mean, like, that has been the case under Gonzalo Pineda. That's been the case where we just don't do enough for most of the match, but we're able to do something at the end. And yeah, we ultimately walk home happy, or drive home, or stay at home, whatever.
Or fly home.
Fly home.
In Tyler Pilgrim's case, fly home.
Yeah, right. But
shout out, fan of the stream.
Right, indeed. But to much of Orlando City's chagrin, it's we always love being able to get one, however, like rescuing a point, winning it late. However,
we frustrated the kiddies. I mean, what more can you want at this point? Like, yeah, we want to beat them, but like, what's better? Like, I mean, I guess beating them is better because the 3 points for us is just better, but letting them think they're getting the 3 points and then just taking it at the last minute, like, that's almost as more heart-wrenching.
It's pretty sweet, like, seeing them just have something in their grasp and just having it slip away within their fingers. It's yes.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, just the Disney kiddies let it slip again, and I'm here for it. So what are your 3 stars from this game?
Yeah. I mean, Wolff, that absolutely is probably the best shout, because at the end of the day, the goal is to score goals. So he was the only one on Atlanta United that was able to do that. So he deserves that, I think. I mean, I would say Juanjo Purata, I think, gets a pretty good shout. He was definitely trying to score goals. He had some good last-ditch tackles as well. I don't think particularly any of the goals were maybe necessarily his fault either. and so, or the goal. But and yeah, I mean, it is that. I mean, Almada probably. I mean, he's the player that's actually trying things. He's trying to make things happen, creating, and I think a good shout as well, Giacomakis. Yeah, he was able to, I think, connect some of those lines. His hold-up play is very good. He's he's able to incorporate a lot of the other players into the match and tracking back at times as well. Like, it's just a shame that he got stepped on. Yeah, I think that pretty much whether it was preordained for him to pretty much come off early, or because of that stamp he had to come off.
Yeah.
Either way.
Who knows?
3A and 3B.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happened with him. All right, so we got Mark on here representing Chelsea today after their wonderful Premier League run this year. And coming hot off of that awesome run, he's here to talk about a little bit of Atlanta United. And you know what? We just got done talking about our top 3 stars of the game for Atlanta United. Who are your 3 stars? I'm gonna start the conversation there because I'm gonna actually run to the bathroom. I'll be right back. So you guys have at it.
All right. It was Mark Nichols' music.
Happy to be on. More than a brief appearance, unlike last week. Yeah, I guess so to answer Mike's question, I mean, let's start with Wolff, obviously, for getting the equalizer. Shout out to him too. I mean, it's not easy to react, especially when the ball pings off of in this case it was the goalkeeper, but he stayed ready basically in the moment, so, and had the composure to roof it, so credit to him. It's tough after that. So I agree with you about Giacomakis and his work off the ball, hold up play and all that. I was also surprised at that sub, although I'm gonna assume like he seemed to be struggling a little bit. And I think it was probably an abundance of caution as well being exercised. But yeah, I mean, like, we're just a much better team when he plays. It is what it is. That's just what it boils down to. Trying to think of a third person that stood out.
It's a tough one. When we play this bad, it's we're kind of grasping at straws. 3 maybe is a lot this match.
Goose? I mean,
yes.
Like he had to make saves. It's we certainly don't get this draw without him. So yeah, that's probably my top 3 for. But it's really, I think that comment there is really indicative of what happened tonight. Like, it just wasn't a good performance. Like, it's we showed grit. Maybe it's harsh to say, like, across the board it's not a good performance, but and I will say I did miss some of the second half.
Boo! Bad fan.
I know, right?
No, okay.
But yeah, I would say
I think it's this too.
Minute, it was just a struggle.
Yeah.
It was just a struggle.
I think it's this too. It's like we'd much rather talk about how beautiful that that build-up play was, or how beautiful that combination play to that goal was, or how incredible that strike was. That type of stuff. Versus, that was a gritty performance, and we really showed a lot of heart. That type of stuff is just like.
Yeah, because that sounds like a coach like literally being fired tomorrow. Like what that speech is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, well, we got a little hard. We tried really hard, and the results just weren't there. And this is like, well, all right, see ya, bud. Pack your bags.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'd much rather any day talk about beautiful football, and we're not playing that. We're just not playing that consistently enough ever really in the tenure of Gonzalo Pineda. Let's just be real. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of at the point. I don't know how much more I have to add because I feel like every game now is just reinforcing what I already feel about this team, which is the team plays well when its best players play, right? Like particularly Almada and Yakumakis. Like we
even then, we didn't today.
we did
Well,
today.
well, do you think Araujo's absence was that pronounced this game?
Sure.
I mean,
like
it's a dynamic that's missing.
Yeah.
We need a player that can run at pace
Yeah.
against a against a back line, and that's something that hopefully we can bring in with
Jurgen Damm got the guy for you.
No, more like a player that probably runs in behind. I think that's really what we need is a player that can be found from through balls over the top. We need a runner. We need a runner that can finish those one-on-ones, finish the ball from inside the box, and consistently get inside the box. We don't need any more dribblers. We don't need any more.
Oh God, no! No more dribblers, please.
Yeah, we don't need guys to beat a man on the dribble. We have plenty of those.
Yeah, and specifically the aimless dribbling, although I do think a lot of that boils down to the lack of a real system, especially when we see like Almada do it. Like and that's something that Twelman was talking. I don't know. I think they mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast that Twelman hadn't done it on the United game in a while. I believe so, but like he was really honing in on how Almada was playing, and specifically not playing well, right? And it's like a lot of that aimless dribbling, giveaways, and so on. But in my humble opinion, he's looked like this for a few weeks now.
I agree. Yeah,
and
he's good for like the wonder goals, but outside of that, he hasn't had like Mark. I quoted you multiple times when you haven't been on the show when Thiago has like. Because you're known for saying he's the visionary passer in the beginning of the season. He was hitting those passes that opened up everything, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, he's been doing it this game. He did it this game. He did this game. Kind of like perpetuating what you were talking about, and it hasn't happened like you just said in the last 3 or so games, maybe even longer, where like that kind of passing hasn't really been there.
And it's pretty much been since what Taylor Twelman was talking about, to you guys' point, was that the last match that he saw, I think probably in person, was versus Nashville SC. And that was a while ago. That was at least the beginning of May. So for a month, besides the last match at home, he really hasn't been, the Almada that we know he can be. Where he's spraying it around with efficiency. Like this match, he was battling Etienne in terms of really errant passes.
Yeah.
It seems like he kind of just shows up to hopefully get his to take his free kick that everyone loves, right? And then if he doesn't get it, he's like, well, it is what it is. I'm here to do the free kicks. That's what I do. But it's like, no, we need you to do everything.
Yeah, I think. I think a lot of his lack of form, to call it that, really does boil down to the lack of a real system. It goes back to those moments, when someone's on the ball, and it's not just Almada.
So do you think there was like a good, like you think the system was working as it should, like the first 4 or so games where he was hitting those passes?
No, not really. That's
what accounts for like him hitting those visionary passes early on? And now he just, for some reason, doesn't.
I think the overall play was more dynamic, and so you guys mentioned pacing behind.
Would you say off the ball runs? Would you say that?
So Caleb Wiley is also missing. So I think that's important to remember as well.
True.
And I think with Araujo, as frustrating as he is, he gives another option that we don't really have in the team. Like AJ said, it's like a profile, right? So. It's almost like we kind of need that type of player, but someone who's like actually good at it. or consistently good at it. So I do think like you saw where it was missing tonight. But I also think just at the beginning of the season, the team's fresh. The vibes are good, so to speak. But really, when you peel the layers back, we're still doing things at the end of the game. What was that stat that Solomon
Yeah,
was throwing
10
out?
goals in
Something
the last
about,
15 minutes.
like leads the
Number
league?
one.
No,
Number
no, no.
one.
So I think the 10 goals, I think it's more goals than that because I think the 10 goals is set piece goals. That's another thing too. A lot of the set piece goals, like in particular non-penalty set piece goals, Atlanta United is well first in the league, right? But think about it. A lot of that is Amada free kicks or Amada deliveries. You know what I mean? So it's like they're winning, they're pulling it out at the end of games. You can there's actually a pattern, but it's not necessarily of a great team. Like this looks like a playoff team. I was just looking at the standings, by the way. We're 5th in the East as of right now. Like if the playoffs ended today, or if the season ended today, I believe we would be playing Philadelphia. Yeah, we would be on the road in Philadelphia. So like it's I say this every week. It's jumbled. Like we could, and this is the thing. Like this is what I feel like this team is. It's a playoff team that may be on the cusp of one home game, but what can we expect? I don't know, because what about this is actually replicable? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a great point, man. It's like basically, we dropped down a place in the East. We were in 4th before we came into this match, so we dropped down to 5th. But to your point, I think we are a cup team. We are not a team that can win the league. Not with how we're playing.
You gotta win away to do that.
Yeah, this is true, but we're a cup team in the sense that if you give us a moment, just give us a moment, and it's within grasp, we can do some. We can create some magic, and that moment of magic is all you need in a cup game. Mm-hmm. So
that's true.
If it's relatively tight, we can make stuff.
You heard it here first. 2023 MLS Cup champions. Give us a chance.
Just give us the home game. Yeah, like if we have enough of these type of matches away and then we take care of business at home. I mean, will it be frustrating? Yes. Will we be happy if we win MLS Cup this way? Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. I would be happy for sure. I would. It's just one of those things where I do want Atlanta United to eventually become the team that's consistently setting a standard. I definitely feel like the last few years, pretty much since we won MLS Cup, we've become one of the chasing teams rather than the standard-setting teams. And just for context in terms of what I mean by that, mainly talking about Seattle and LAFC right now, right? Yeah. But like. Once upon a time that was Atlanta United. That was also Red Bulls. Look at where Red Bulls are now. You know what I mean? And so there's another point I make about like MLS in general. It's easy to slip into mediocrity. Like how many teams have won MLS Cup? Like Real Salt Lake, Rapids, Chicago Fire, right? Like what is that one MLS Cup do? What's that? Oh yeah. I forgot about that one. Right? Like
all these teams that just you pretty much it's like how like ESPN they're like break them up. It's literally like the next season that's what happens.
Yeah.
All these MLS teams.
Yeah. Like where's the dynasties? But I mean LAFC might start to have some shouts about that. Seattle had a couple shouts about that last like 5 years. Consistently getting to high places in the playoffs. That's been remarkable. And hopefully we can emulate that with Garth Lagerwey coming in here.
Yeah, and consistently just playing good football week 2. I mean, like it's not going to happen every single game, right?
We got to get the personnel. I think it's got to be not a wholesale, but like because it's already started, so it's not wholesale, but it's a good clean house cleaning that is going to happen and that needs to happen. And so
listen, one thing in terms of a positive note, I definitely think Giakoumakis is somebody for the now and the near. I mean, as long as we have him in his prime, So
yes, 100%.
Maybe, hopefully, ideally, 4, 5, 6 years.
This man was about to go to Japan.
I know.
That blows my mind. That blows my mind.
I mean, that's a pretty good league. J League, K League, even pretty solid level. So, in a lot of ways, it reminds me of the level of a player like Rui Diaz. Like I could see if Yakumaki stays long enough and stays healthy, I could see him having that kind of impact on the league. Like he's really good. Like it's a hell of a find.
Yeah, absolutely. Boca in, right, guys?
Hey, I will throw something at you.
All right, let's read some the chat while we got them here. Yeah, we will take it all damn day, Lily says. Absolutely. The 1 point referencing the away win. Ingest 101 says, I love how Taylor Tellman just called us out during the broadcast. Love it. Someone has to make us accountable. Yeah, he pointed out a lot of things that we already talked about that definitely need improvement. Brandon says, need to keep stealing points until the summer transfer window where the midfield can get fixed. The 6 and 8 positions are just so poor. I pretty much agree with that. I think we kind of covered that a bit as well. Elliot says, surprise, Guzan made the starting 11. That was awesome. I was very happy to see that. Just coming in to be questionable and then coming on, and so is Sosa too. Both of them, props to them for getting healthy quicker than, hopefully, in a good timeline. I'm happy that they got healthy in a good timeline. Zach Lawson says, I don't know if I've seen you before in the chat. Thanks for stopping by, Zach. He says, does Almada dominating through the midfield make Sosa, Osetu, and any other midfielder seemingly disappear? I am not saying that they're good players, but do they look more invisible because of Almada? I think it's because they get marked really well, and Almada can kind of find the space to receive the ball a little bit better. I think that, and everyone was kind of the commentator was saying it during the game. Our midfield was man marked like the entire time. They just couldn't get free, so the ball couldn't get to them. So they couldn't string a pass to the offense, and so the triangles just kind of disappeared in the midfield. So you had to go kind of over, balls over the top in order to get around that conundrum we had in the midfield. I'm not so sure. I mean, yeah, I guess you have to credit Almada's ability to get open to get that ball, but he's also, remember, he's a cam player. He's an attacking midfielder. He's not the defensive midfielder that gets the ball immediately and then tries to put it forward. He's already kind of on the beginning of the last end of the attack. So it's a little bit easier once the ball does get to the midfield that we can get it to him. It's the difficulty of getting it from the defense to the midfield. I think that's where we struggle. It breaks down a lot. So I just, before we move on to the next, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically that. It's like your comment. I think, where the players in midfields, they're being man marked well. I think it's also that they can't find space well. They're not the type of players that are brave, I think, to always try to find a way to be open, to not be invisible, essentially. I mean, and I think it's indicative of the MLS level. If we had better midfield players, they probably wouldn't be in this league. But it is that too, where we've all played on those type of teams. That's when there's there's a markedly better player. That markedly better player, you're gonna give them the ball, and sometimes you're gonna ball watch, and sometimes you're gonna it's like they you kind of like you pass it to them because you expect them to be able to do something with the ball, and then that's where you yourself also needs to move and be able to provide an option. But I think that's what it is. It's like Sosa and Hosetu, they just expect I did my job. I gave him the ball.
Yeah.
You're also supposed to run and, make some space for yourself and provide an option and, all that other stuff too. But
did you throw it to me, Mike?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I pretty much agree with that. I think I understand, like, because I get the point of yeah, Orlando was pressing, and their midfielders were marking hours and so on. But to me, that's all just part of the midfield battle, quote unquote. I mean, like every soccer game ever, you go into it, more than likely you're going to talk about the whatever midfield battle there's to be had. So I I just think like it shouldn't be that easy to mark you out of the game. You know what I mean? Like, one, like you got to be anticipating that, and two, like Asia was saying, like it's that dynamic movement off the ball, and specifically it's that showing for the ball and knowing where the space is to receive the pass and being able to advance it. Because the thing is, right? Like Almada can't be the only one playing progressive passes or through balls, because then that becomes really easy to play against. Like, and sometimes I wonder if there's not enough dynamism coming from the other midfielders. And then in terms of the midfield steal, and this is where I think in particular you have to consider the level, like you were saying, AJ, because absolutely, like when you're getting into like those, especially those like true box-to-box midfielders that can offer you dribbling, maybe some passing going forward, and defensive reinforcements. That's like you're talking about almost a complete midfield at that point, right? So yeah, it's interesting because we have a few different midfielders of different profiles. I don't know if all of them have a long-term future at the club, but I do wonder if under the right coach, there is enough talent to work with. Or I do think too, like for example, so I mean, I think the best. Yeah, I think it's fair to say this. The best midfielder in Atlanta United's history is Darlington Nagbe.
Oh,
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
It's
forgetting
not even close.
right. Yeah, so but even like that year, that first season with Carmona, I want to say it was.
Carmona, Lorenowitz.
Yeah, Lorenowitz, you know what I'm saying? Like we haven't really had figures like that in the last few years. So it's interesting. I am curious to see how they address the midfield going forward. I do think
Do you go DP?
Yeah,
in the mid, defensive. Yeah,
I do, because I think
I agree
just to get that level of player.
I agree.
Like because that level of player can be so influential.
And Garth specifically talked about the spine of the team.
Yeah,
and I think you put a DP back there, a Darlington Abbey or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh baby, because we were spoiled with Darlington Abbey not being a DP,
really?
like and occupying that spot. That was a luxury.
I mean, I think he helped, keep things together that season after the MLS Cup. I thought he was either the best or second best player along with Joseph on that team. So,
easily, yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely use a DP spot on the midfield this summer.
Completely agree. Let me go down to some other comments. Fern Sandler says, "Great that you guys have an international audience." Yeah, we do. That's a perk of having we are an ambitious club looking to sign players from all around the world. Brandon says Almada is playing like a player who doesn't trust his teammates to be in the right spaces. This is something Bill Gluckman said in the beginning of the season when we were talking about Barco's performance. That Barco didn't trust his teammates either. And that was a lot to do in his estimation as to why he didn't make passes, make plays the way that people probably thought he should have. He just thought he'd do it his own, and that resulted in a lot of hero ball, which you see a little bit from Almada, but not as much as Barco. Barco definitely just tried to dribble the entire field and every player he saw. So how do I want to finish that off? It's a little confusing to me. I don't know if he doesn't trust his team. It's definitely not to the degree that Barco did it. That's for sure for me. I know that. But But I don't know if he
Yeah.
just kind of just hero balls it all the way through. But he does do it sometimes. I'll grant that. I will, to Brandon's point, I will grant that he definitely, in my estimation, does do that once in a while, where he'll just go, "Gotta put this game on my back." It's always when he's dancing around the top of the box. You know, he does his little shimmy shim. So, but like,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a
I
little
think it's
bit
with certain players. You know, like I think he doesn't have as much of a connection with Derek Etienne.
true.
You know, with,
And because Wiley's not here, I think he has a better connection with Wiley because of what
Exactly.
Mark said
And-
earlier. Yeah.
Exactly. It's the willingness to run. And, you know, Derek Etienne, he's kind of similar to some degrees, just albeit not as good as... Yeah, exactly. He's not as good as Thiago Almada, obviously. Very few players are. And so that's the thing. We thought Derek Etienne would be more of a runner. That's not really the case. Like, he kind of... The ball kind of stops with him as well. And so... and then, yeah, Brooks Lennon... I don't think, you know, he maybe fully trusts him on the wing either. And it's funny because it's like, oddly enough, maybe he does trust Luis Araujo a little bit more. Maybe it's the South American connection or something. Who knows? But
But
I mean,
even-
I imagine you talk to Araujo, he's gonna be like, "Give me the ball every time.
Well,
I will
I've-
destroy it." I feel like that's what he says, but
I've definitely
Yeah.
seen Almada and Araujo, you know, kind of have the almost like that communication on the field, you know, like that after, you know, a pass didn't come off or whatever. So yeah, I definitely think though, I agree, AJ, that like there's multiple players where it's like, does he actually want to? Does he fully trust them? You know, because
Yeah.
it's not even like a like or dislike kind of thing. It's just like in the heat of the moment.
correct, yeah.
On a good team, it's automatic, right? It's instinctual, and
Right.
but we don't play like a instinctual team. So that's where when you see that hesitation, you do have to wonder, you know, if the trust isn't fully there.
Absolutely. Brandon says, it felt like Gigi's sub at the 60th minute was decided before the game. It's very possible. I want to believe that to be the case and that the ankle stomp had nothing to do with it. So we'll see what they say going forward about that. Tonight seemed like... Brandon says, after the 50-50, all the defenders shifted to cover and the midfield or Etienne didn't cover Orlando's right back. Would be interested in who is supposed to be picking up the right back run. What do you guys think of that?
yeah, no, I thought it probably should have been Derek Etienne since Gutman got dragged over a little bit. I mean, but it is one of those. It got pinged around. You know, they pretty much won the ball in a really dangerous area, and
Yeah, I mean Ronald
no one-
unfortunately
Yeah.
just chested it down right to an Orlando player, and then
Yeah.
and like you said, it was like a bunch of like ping pang right back into the box, and just happened to
our
land
defense
right over
doesn't
there.
team. Yeah, but it is still indicative that we always get beat at our back post, like just time and time again. It's
I think-
not, it's not good.
Yeah, I think that you know, some goals, obviously, you know, there's always the temptation to fault, you know, or look at who wasn't covered, or look at the breakdown that happens right before the ball goes into the net. But I think sometimes the breakdown happens before that, and I think in this case, you know, with I believe there was a giveaway, right? That kind of led to that particular time.
The Ronald Hernandez giveaway where he chested it down to the Orlando player.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way,
And it's like pretty much right outside our box. It's right there.
right, and you know, we were struggling at that point in the match too, so we were just overwhelmed because it's just one of those things where it's like
AJ mentioned this, just to like go off like 1 second about what AJ said earlier in the match, is that in the midfield it looked like there were like 1.5 to 2 players on every one of our midfield players at all times. So yeah,
right, and so I just think like with the right back, right, I just think it's difficult to expect everybody to track back because, like, I guess, you know, in theory, like, anybody could bomb forward. I think that you should be able to keep the ball out of your net with 6 or 7 players back. Like
ideally, yeah.
And you really shouldn't be in those situations where you're that pinned back. Like, to me, if you're that pinned back, then a few things have already gone wrong.
Agree.
So
yeah.
I think that goal, to me, that's like when that goal happened, I was like, yeah, it felt inevitable. So I think that's how you prevent that going forward. Is just honestly just playing better.
And it could have been more too. I mean, like, Orlando flubbed a lot of chances. And luckily, they were just not on point today. For whatever reason, they're not good at playing home. They love to win away, but for whatever reason, they're not good at playing home. And thank God for that, because we really let them have a good amount of chances, and they didn't capitalize.
Yeah.
Yep. And to speak on that goal again, it's like I was watching it with Michael and his wife, and or his wife was in the area. But
shout out to Zora.
Yeah, she just heard a chorus of no's, and it's just like, just like every ball that led up to that goal was just like a no.
It's like every 50% chance just went to Orlando, and you're like, come on, do something, disrupt the play.
We couldn't. We just we gave it right to them, and they were able to. Yeah, just.
All right, let's mine the chat a little bit more. Gavin says, "Thanks for stopping by again, Gavin. Big fan of the stream. Love you, Gavin. Draw that feels like a win. Tyler Wolff saving our butts. I hope GG's sub doesn't mean he's injured. Yep, completely agree." Brandon also says Etienne was poorly positioned with a team pressing us high, never threatened the back line with his speed. His lack of production is getting really concerning. I agree with that. Yeah, and we were talking about earlier, Mark, Etienne's positioning today, I thought was very suspect. I'm going to get to a few more comments, and then we can talk about a couple of things. If Brandon also says, if Wiley was given all those 1v1 chances Etienne had, it feels like we create more opportunities down the left. That's very possible. It would be interesting to see what it would be like if Wiley was in place of Etienne tonight. Brandon also says, if Almada was one of our top 3 with performances, that's a pretty rough indictment of where the team is. I'm not so sure. I think Almada will always be in our top 3. It's just like who he is. Baraka says, Pineda needs to address our work rate issue. I feel like sometimes we are reactive instead of being proactive and keeping focus. Yeah, that's I said this earlier in the game. We tend to switch off sometimes. And this has been a theme that Gonzalo has been talking about in press conferences ever since the beginning of his tenure. Is that we're doing well, and then individual mistakes that we've switched off on in like small little plays turn into like completely capitalized chances by the other team, which, like, honestly, it turns from like a 0%er into like a 100% chance because one of the guys who just should have been there to shut it down just switches off for whatever reason. That seems to be something that it's like every game, like every player has one shutoff at least one shutoff every game. But usually that shutoff doesn't happen when the ball and the play is around them. So most of the time you don't notice it. However, for whatever reason, it seems like for Atlanta's case, it seems to be that players have those shutoffs when it's like, oh, it's on them right now. And it's like, oh, yeah, you could have shut off in the 9 out of other 10 plays that we just had earlier in the game. But this 10th play, it was on you. And then for some reason you turned off and didn't want to mark your man. And then back post, boom, easy goal. No one was there. It's like, what are you doing? So, I don't know. That's my take on that. Let's see. So we can stop there for a second, get some thoughts, and then I'll continue reading because I think there's around like 10 more chats to get to.
Well, I think we should read the rest of the chat. I mean,
okay, yeah, I'll try and blaze through them. So we already heard from Strong tonight. Atlanta, LA Beam says Atlanta needs a central mid. Yep. Strong says Pineda won't have it. Andrew Wiseman says Nagbe equals Conte. Sign Conte on a free. I mean,
He's available.
question mark. I mean,
He's technically available.
Man,
that'd be amazing.
I think he's staying in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably is. That would be amazing.
yeah, why not? I mean, get him. Brandon says a DP at an 8, 10, and 9. This is the Lager Way. W-A-Y. I agree. I like that. That's right. Or what? And LAB even says, well, what about Thiago Silva on a free?
Yeah, I don't know. That's. I think you'd have to pay him as a DP, and that's not something that we should do.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And lastly, Bryant Lee says, we need to adjust our formation. If they lock it down in the mid, we need players to run back and open it up. Yeah, like we talked about, we do. I think our formation is fine, except for like there are some away Yeah, so our positioning is an issue. Yeah, like he was saying, our formation needs adjustment. I'm not so sure the 4-3-2-1 needs adjustment, but or the 4-2-3-1. But I think that if we lock it down, if we get better players in mid, we can kind of. I think you'll just see different things. I think you'll see a different result. I think you'll see a different team, specifically in the 6 and 8 positions. So. If we can get that, we can lock that down with like higher level players, like Mark was saying, a DP maybe even. We can. I think we'll see a much different team, a much more confident team, and a team that can actually build out the back. Because right now, this is a team that's trying to build out the back, and they are struggling because other teams know they're going to try and do it. They're going to lock it down because they just have a superior midfield.
The thing about the 4-2-3-1, when you take those 2 pivot players out, it disconnects the whole thing. Exactly. And I don't think this is the first time we saw that, like what happened tonight.
And the last one I have to read is actually kind of Strong says, it's like the team experiences power outages. I agree. It's like, it's just shut it off, on, circuits on, off. Yeah. If you're not an engineer, Strong, I would be surprised. So that's very true. So with that, that's the end of the chat. If you guys want to do, I know AJ had his closings. Mark, you can give your closing. And since you so bravely showed up tonight, we're going to add you to the wheel.
Yes. And I still, and for the chat, I still owe you guys a video. Don't worry, it's coming.
Yeah, we won't let him forget. So yeah, Mark, give us your final thoughts. AJ gave his and I already gave mine, and then we'll move on to the wheel after that.
I guess it's really kind of the thoughts that I came in with. You know, I don't necessarily think that we learned anything new about the team. You know, I think, you know, credit is due for staying in it. I think that Guzan's effect when it comes to leadership is probably underrated, because I do think that was part of the reason why we were so resilient tonight. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, it's this team is what it is. They score a lot of goals off of set pieces. They score a lot of goals late in games. They tend to, most of the time, they stay in games enough to get some sort of result. And, you know, that's what happened tonight against a, I would say, likely playoff team. So, yeah, we'll take this point and we move.
Absolutely. All right, so we will start now with the wheel. Thanks, Mark, for joining us. We will spin it right now. We will see that we have us three on here, and it's spinning now, and we'll see who is the lucky Mark. And Mark, you're in luck.
Who did I select?
It's you.
Oh, boy. Okay.
All right, so let's see what Mark gets to do. His options: soccer skill challenge, special talent, red ass game, spicy challenge, and dressing up for the stream.
Let's see.
Let's see what happens. We have. It is a soccer skill challenge, the first one. So, regional champion. regional champion Mark Nichols is going to give us a display of his soccer skills.
Is there a specific one that I will be doing? Or
That's up to you, buddy.
See, it's gonna be tricky because I have no soccer skills, so definitely gonna have to. I might have to employ my Photoshop skills. So,
I mean, that is a special talent in and of itself, but that could be but that could be your other special talent. So
well, that skills on the same level as my soccer skills. So let's see, what would be quicker, learning a soccer thing or a Photoshop?
I think probably a Photoshop thing, but no, I mean we could probably do something like a crossbar type of challenge or something like that, and see if you can hit it. How many you can hit in 5 tries? Go from there.
All right, and before we get any further, I want to do this spicy challenge. This is going to be fucking painful, and I hate it. But here we are. So this is going to be a tablespoon of ghost pepper.
Just ghost pepper?
Pretty much.
What's the brand?
I'll show the brand. So we got a full tablespoon there. This is going to really fuck my stomach the rest of the night. Africa Ghost, this is probably maybe the next 2 days. African Ghost Pepper. So this is actually, if anyone's interested, this is actually a brand that you can buy at the Atlanta Zoo. And the proceeds go to, helping elephants and other types of wildlife in Africa. So if you're into that kind of thing, that's where you should buy your hot sauce, because at least you're going to be able to start helping some things that need help, especially the wildlife in Africa, because goddamn do they need help. So cheers. I may not be able to talk much for the rest of this, so you guys are going to have to do a little bit of the more heavy lifting. So, but luckily I got most of my stuff done. So here we go.
Yeah, Michael's beehole is probably going to need some help later too.
Man. Drink fake milk.
There it is.
Michael.
Oh, I'm gonna. Oh, it's already bad. It's already bad. Okay.
For us, it's only ASMR pretty much, so it's like.
Oh, man.
Who's covering for Mike on Wednesday's game? It's a good question. We'll find out. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I don't know.
Oh man.
Oh man, this is the second time I got this challenge, man. Fuck.
I know, man. I'm kind of hoping if I get rolled on that it's me that takes this challenge, but nah, it's always you, man.
It was Patrick once. A tablespoon is a fucking lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That's no joke.
How are you talking right now?
It's because ghost pepper has a slow burn, so it gets worse over time, and that's why I was like, "Oh fuck, it's bad already," because it's just gonna get way worse. So, I'm not gonna Minecraft myself on stream. Don't worry, we'll be fine.
Minecraft.
Yeah, let's finish out that chat though. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, make me talk some more. So no, Mike is not gonna commit suicide on stream. We'll be fine. Elliot Beeman says, "Yummy." Love to see you do it, bud. Says, "Bye." He's gonna explode any minute. I will make sure I don't explode, but you will see me struggling a bit, like some veins popping. So it's my knees and my hands start going real fast. If you eat a lot of heat, like really a lot, which ghost pepper tends to do. You get like a drunken state a bit, which is kind of like a euphoric, like a kind of a weird spice high, which if none of you have tried that or know that, it's a really interesting sensation. It's not super pleasurable, but like it's really interesting. So I'd actually kind of recommend it. It's just one of those things like, you try it once and you're like, wow, that was fascinating, and then either ditch it and never do it again, or you're gonna get hooked on it. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm like my chest is like Chernobyl right now. I'm melting from the inside. That's right.
All right.
Man.
All right.
Incredible.
So,
Incredible.
You're
a brave one.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's it. I mean, as much as we'd love to just stay on this moment.
Yeah, I know, right? And watch you suffer.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to
Go
talk
ahead.
about anything we got coming down the pike soon? Anything like you want to entice the chat about, or anyone about what we got going on?
Yeah. So we have some exciting sponsorships coming up soon that we can't wait to reveal and get going with you guys. But yeah, stay tuned for some really fun stuff coming up this next week. And yeah, I mean, on behalf of the whole team here, we can't wait to show you some of that. And yeah, as well, the rest of the season, there's some really fun stuff to look forward to as well. But yeah, for Mike, I'm gonna sign off for your sake here.
Excellent.
And that way, if anything happens, it can happen off stream. But yeah, so guys, you guys are amazing for sticking around for so long. It's like almost a 2-hour stream or something like that now. So yeah, I mean, you guys incredible. And yeah, for Michael, for Mark, I've been AJ. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, and remember, if you retweet this episode, we will retweet you. So remember to do that. Please share our stream and what we're doing here. It helps us immensely. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Well said. But all right, guys, have a great rest of your Saturday. Happy Memorial Day, or not really, that feels weird to say, but happy Memorial Day. No, Memorial Day. Hopefully that goes well for you guys.
Have a good holiday.
Have a good holiday. I know, yeah, there's got to be a better way to say that, but it's really not. It shouldn't be a happy.
Right.
Happy.
But enjoy the day off.
Merry Christmas. Wrap it up. Let's go.
Exactly right. Anyway, all right, guys. So on behalf of Michael and Mark, I'm AJ.